Greetings. My name is Mr. Cooper, and as you see, I titled this presentation, Revealing Fraud, the Dying Dollar. Let's begin. According to Article 1, Section 8, Clause 5 of the Constitution of these United States of America, the Congress has the power to coin money, regulate the value thereof, and of foreign coin. Right? That's the ancient landmark. You know how you can take a stick and draw it in the dirt, draw a line in the dirt, right? Or take a stick and draw a line in the sand. You tell people, if you cross this, you tell a person, if you cross this line, I'm gonna sock you. Well, you call that line a landmark, something that's written, right? But the Constitution is written not in sand, not in dirt, but on paper. It's an ancient landmark. But I am asking a question. I have a question. Knowing that it doesn't benefit the people, why does the U.S. government continue to forfeit to the Federal Reserve its birth and sovereign right of authorizing its own currency? The United States does not authorize its own currency. The Federal Reserve does. I'm using the term authorized because the United States does print up its currency, but it has to receive the authorization from the Federal Reserve. And when the Federal Reserve authorized the United States to print up currency, it does this when it gives this authorization when it receives Treasury securities, which are IOUs, right, issued to the central bank, right? The United States promises to pay the Fed back its money that it created out of thin air with interest. But I mind you to think about that. If the Federal Reserve loaned the United States $100 billion and charged 6% interest, we have to consider that there is no 6% interest in circulation. It doesn't exist. How then can you pay back something that does not exist? So in essence, we the people are in a system of peonage, debt slavery. And thus, our national debt continues to rise and rise and rise and rise, and will never be paid because there is not enough money to pay back such an enormous amount of debt. But I'm wasting too much time here. Stand at the crossroads and look, is what the good book is saying. Ask for the ancient past, the ancient landmark. Ask where the good way is. Where's the good way to prosperity? And walk in it. And you will find prosperity. But you said, America, you're not going to return to gold, silver, and copper. You're not going to return to the Constitution. That's what you are saying, government. You are saying you will not return to the Constitution. But the good book says, remove not the ancient landmark That line drawn in the dirt, that line drawn in the sand, those lines, those terms of the Constitution, which the forefathers of this nation have set to bring the U.S. and the citizenry to prosperity. Now, historically and by definition, a dollar is not paper. A dollar is a silver coin. Do your research. And according to the Coinage Act of 1792, a dollar must consist of pure silver or standard silver. The pure silver must be 371.25 grains of pure silver. Standard silver, 416 grains. Okay? A dollar is a silver coin. Period. It's not paper. A dollar is not paper, America. Get that in your head, please. Now, a note is not a dollar. You ever write a note to your girlfriend? You ever write a note to your boyfriend? Can you take that note that you have written and purchase something with it? I'm talking about the one that you have written. So what makes this $5 unit a dollar? It is not a dollar. A note is a promise to pay. Now let me prove it out. Let me show you some receipts here. This note says will pay to the bearer on demand $5. Well, you thought the $5 note was a dollar. And I use the term dollar loosely when I refer to this paper. Okay? So what then is $5? Well, what is a dollar? I already told you what a dollar is. It's silver. It's a coin. These 5 coins that are appearing right before your eyes, that's $5. The note is representative money. Not all money is silver. Okay? What is money? A medium of exchange. So we exchange this note for real money. Right? That note represents money that had been deposited in an institution, such as the Treasury or a central bank. These 5 coins, silver coins, is made of a commodity called silver. Now, this note is different than the previous note. This note doesn't promise anything. It's called fiat. Fiat means what? By decree. The government said we're going to use this paper as money, and they didn't even ask the people's opinion. Is it not this federation that we are part of? Is it not we the people? Representative government? But when government begins to do things outside of the consent of the people, we find ourselves gravitating towards a dictatorship. It is a unit, in this case 5 units of currency. Not a dollar, a unit. It is a legal fiction. Notice what's at the bottom of this note. It says $5, that's all it says. Now if I took a piece of paper and wrote the letters $5, and then I took the same piece of paper and wrote 5 on it, does it make it $5? Absolutely not. And as a matter of fact, you try to lock me up for counterfeiting. Now, if you don't believe that there's such thing as a legal fiction, I advise you to pause here and read this definition and visit that website. Now, I'm making some claims here that I ask you to do your research. Federal Reserve notes or units are not dollars. Federal Reserve notes are borrowed by we the people. Federal Reserve notes constitute America's entire currency. Federal Reserve notes have no intrinsic value. Federal Reserve notes make no promises. Federal Reserve notes are a legal fiction. Since George Washington is showing his face, he had said something during 1787, more like written to his friend Jabez Bowen, and I'm assuming he was a fellow politician. He said, or written, paper money has had the effect in your state, Mr. Bowen, that it will ever have, to ruin commerce. And I ask you to pause here and read the rest because I'm running out of time. In economics, specie is a term that refers to money in the form of coins or other metals as opposed to paper. Now, to reiterate, the standard dollar, according to the Constitution, 371.25 grains of pure silver. For your information, an ounce of silver contains 437.5 grains of silver. Now, during 1986 till today, American silver eagles were minted, and they come in the form of an ounce of silver, 437.5 grains. Now, I ask you a question. Are American silver eagles standard silver coins? Yes or no? The answer is no. Why? Because they are valued at $1.18 roughly. Right? It's more than the standard dollar. Why? Because it's an ounce. The standard dollar is roughly about 85% of an ounce. Now I want to show you a black horse. Revelation 6:6. To whom am I referring to as the black horse? Well, the black horse is what? A merchant, an international banker, in whose hands are false balances. He loves to oppress the poor. As of October 22nd, 2024, an ounce of silver was valued at 34.36 Federal Reserve unit. Okay? Not dollars, units. Is this possible? How is it possible that to value an ounce from its standard value of $1.18 roughly to $34.36? Now, this is a difficult question to answer, especially for those that do not understand money history. This answer is rather lengthy, but I'll cut to the chase. The answer is there are too many fiat units in circulation. That's the answer. It's called ratios, people. Think about ratios. Think about the ratio between hard money and paper currency. Think ratio. Okay? Now put on your thinking cap, students. 437.5 grains is what? An ounce of silver, is it not? So what does the 34.36 represent? It represents the price of an ounce. If we divide the ounce by the Federal Reserve unit dollars, we get 12.733 grains of silver, right? Per fiat unit. So what am I showing you? I'm showing you that it takes 34.36 fiat units to purchase a standard ounce. Now, standard ounce, not standard dollar, standard ounce coin, which is valued during 1792 at $1.18, which is concurrently still the value, but that's a real $1.18. To further elucidate this matter, consider the equation above. Now, my computer generated 34.344. That's pretty doggone close. See, that American Silver Eagle is 1 ounce of silver. I'm assuming pure because it says pure, or fine silver on that dollar. It's a real $1.18, roughly $1.18. That's a real $1.18, right? The landmark doesn't change. The landmark doesn't change. Okay? But it's going to take 34.36 FRN units to purchase this one coin. So if you divided that coin by the FRNs, the coin will fragment into 34.36 units. Thus, it takes 34.36 Federal Reserve units to purchase one Silver Eagle, which means that the Federal Reserve note is worth 3 cents. This is the dying dollar. Okay? Now I want to leave you with the words of the forefather of the United States of America, one of the forefathers. Other perplexities, confusions, and distresses in America arise not from defects in their constitutions, so much as from downright ignorance of the nature of coin, credit, and circulation. Pause it to read it yourself. And I bid you adieu.